It's okay. So anyway, let's just review a little bit that you guys at home you lost. And so actually, what was the most important that since we are going to talk about Bardo, we have to talk about death. And to talk about death, even though sometimes can be an unpleasant, or some people don't want to think about death or don't want to think about death. First of all, is the reality. So we have to think, and it's nothing to, how to say this in English. It's nothing too heavy. It's just a reality. It's just something that will happen, and so it's fine. Just like when we just separate because we come together. Like we born, no. We die because we are born, right? Like we fall because we are in a upper stage and so forth. So just because this kind of causes, so come the result. We just die because we already are born. So for this reason, and in order to, so this is the first thing, and the second thing is very important also to understand that our lives and our path and so forth is gonna be exactly in the same level of happiness and well-being that we want, if the way of thinking is also in the same level. And so we just have the happiness or so forth if you know how to think. So just like Tsering said, if the way of thinking is positive, and so everything in our lives is positive without any problem. If the way of thinking is negative, so definitely the problems and unsatisfactions also will come.
Yeah. That then you want to achieve but number 2 days is you tambo ngole kara yongyoreze tanda ngaso kareze namshi rakbat sogu ngaso lega je de orwa ani ka jela ngaso 데제 나서식 첨부 나니 다 시야라 데제 다 니오레 온데 간라 가리용고요레 마주고 리콤라 요비 종화제 미치니 냠로고요레.
So okay, just so everyone is ready to talk about death, right? Okay, so let's start. Okay, when we start dying, when we start the process of dying, how is this stages of dying, right? So first of all, now not that we are alive, we are abiding in a level of gross consciousness. What means gross consciousness? Are the sensorial level of consciousness. And this sensorial level of consciousness, when we start dying, they will all of them, they will dissolve. Okay, so first of all, when we start the death process, it will first of all dissolve all the 4 elements, the gross 4 elements, and then after 4 elements together with this sensorial gross consciousness.
Bernardo so likamla yopi ani tambo jongwa rakba sayin jongwa de nyamdo de kala karezi de mid guchome ba chanro do de kat so nat so de ya tendro ro do dona mud so de so yame dona osbo so samo guchome ba chanro di kawle kareza so likamla yopi jongwa de nyamdo sayin jongwa.
When we enter in the death process, start the first stage, which is the degeneration or the dissolution of the first element with the earth element. When the earth element is being degenerate, and so all the earth element in our body become non-working. So that's why our body doesn't move anymore. And then, for example, when we open the lips of the patient, of the person which is starting to this process, and so the lips they doesn't close anymore. Anything that we do stay exactly the same because the earth element is not moving anymore.
Yeah. When the change over the nyamdo de kana ngaso kachi da mukchela soba tatela soba samad dine ko kam do.
After the earth element become completely dissolved, so dissolved into the water element. So when the water element is dissolving, meaning that all the water element in the body becomes completely non-existent. That's why the person feels so much thirst, and also the water in the eyes becomes very dry. The eyes become very dry and so forth.
Yeah. Dene main jonga de nyamdo de kana the
third element that dissolves is the heat, right? So the body also becomes very cold.
Yeah. That tamadalea or longo jonga de nyamdo de kana uchena ko ukshikchimu padani dini chenu do.
And the fourth and very last element is the wind element. in that wind element, and together with all of these elements, also degenerate all the gross consciousness. So when comes to the earth, the wind element that degenerates. So in that moment is the last breath that we know as the last breath.
맞아 지대 용다다 맹강다 되는 임바이나 오다 지나 저거 내바데 다 바이스.
In that moment when the wind element is completely degenerate or dissolved, so it's the last breath. In that moment, usually the doctors and the hospitals, they say, "Oh, now your patient is done." So the clinic is considered clinic death.
임바이나양 단단 원이고 강사한테 시효를 배제는 시효.
But actually, this person is still not dead.
맞아.
Why is that?
네, 니네 저한테 시 내주다. 네, 니네 치자지. 니 가블이야. 단다 티 가블이야. 치신바리 마도 단다 시효 말이에요.
Because this is still in the about to be died. Is in the death process. Is still not dead. It's in the death process.
Yeah. 단다 가르에서 단대 낼 거랑 가르 쪽에
바이나. It's sort of dying. It's not dead.
내가다 가르치고 그래라 바이나. 나 쪽을 롱데 단다. 제가 롱다 때가 쪽 그쪽이야. 저 청마당. 아니 나 쪽을 내가다 가르치고 그래서 남시 라바되게 지고 그래서. 롱도 소위 바이는데 자 내다 니나나 롱도 주고야마 이되고 그러마도 배는 내리려. 니나나 롱지고 그러마도 단다 니나나 단다 롱도 직토고 말이야.
Okay. So these are the three main arterias, or the three main veins, or the three main ways where in our body we have three main not channels, like the three main arterias, right? The three main arterias, energetically speaking about. And so the center channel here, the center channel is still untouchable. So when the patient just lack of breath, and so just stop breathing, what happened is that the wind that comes through the external channels, these stop working. But still, there is all the wind energy and all the consciousness in the center channel.
넘버 조양의 신고에 질라 가르 신고 그래서 나로 저거 강 댄사들라 리들라양 라파 트라와 신드 트라와 숨 요바드 니버드 신고 그래서
Something that is very important for you guys to know is in mainly the death process, but in general, is that we are here alive because actually we have this kind of body, the consciousness relying on our body, and you have three kinds of body. So the gross body, the subtle body, and the very gross body, and it's very important for you to understand what I'm gonna explain now.
다 난신그 남시들라양 다가랑 라파 트라와
Likewise,
신드 트라와
consciousness.
숨 요바드
We have
니버드
the gross
신고
consciousness, subtle, and very subtle consciousness.
다 디니치네 맞죠 네다 니자 디니근 나라 롱근 롱 까니 니나라 자 호미 나라 롱 줘야 될래야 아니 될래 레그 톱기 줘당 치당 아니 곰냠는 그 토니 디나라 롱 줘당 치니 용 거레스.
Okay, and within these two external channels, so how this wind energy and the life force goes around here, takes turns around here. So it's under the force of two things. First of all, go walk around or just turn around under the force of karma. Le tampo nipa.
Le toki dina londro tanchi gum toki.
And so the first force that makes all of this life force goes around here is by the force of the karma, and the other way of also that our consciousness or our life force turns around here is on by the force of the power of meditation.
Yeah. 다자 예요 이거 롱그 지와도 딱이 나가서 실험 그 준비 중인데 그 디나나 롱도 로야데 가용 니가라야 아니 단다 기마가 싸우미나로라 롱도 조샤고 그래
Nikakana ane kimana dogire. And when in these two channels here, right and left channel, When this is stopped, when this the consciousness, the gross consciousness, they stop to turning around in the two, the right and left, and so what is still on is the center channel.
야. 단디 자 기마디나로 롱로와 있나요?
And how this wind energy or the life force goes.
닌가 맞아요. 닌가 지다나 니 도도도 세오만. 아주 니 너만이 바리가 어딜 양아죠. 남시 땅보 아미가 말래야 크다가 파미 크다가 위서 남시 땅보 시과들래 될래야데. 미식 비틀이랑 아예 다 같이 리모트 티잖아. 네 미식 비틀이 디파리 네 남시 바차샤. 네 말리 토픽 코아 말보디체 네 팔리 토픽 코아 카르보디 바 델레야 민데라 미시 비틸레스 어디 남시 티티카나 싶은데 디나노.
Okay, and so in this center, in the center channel here, in the center channel here is still working, right? When this ceased to work, but this is still working. What means this? That actually in this central channel here, from here the central channel here, in the very center of the center channel here, like at the level of the heart, not the physical heart, but at the level of the physical heart here, relies one very, very tiny substance. It's very subtle, like just it's just in the scriptures, like we cannot see. That is like I sort of made this draw, like sort of a bean or something, there. And what is that substance? So that substance actually is the blue part below here. Actually, he wanted to draw as a red one, and so the red or the below part is the blood part coming from the mother, and the upper part, the black upper part, is the father's part, the part that comes from the sperm of a father. And so that union of the very, very tiny, subtle element or substance coming from the sperm of the father and the blood of the mother, when they came together, in that moment when they came together, and then the consciousness coming from of the person coming from the previous life enter here, when this happened, so that person is alive, started that life. And this very tiny substance here relies, since our very first moment of this life, relies in this center channel at the level of the heart. Okay.
Oh yeah. That deniga ane karza.
And this substance here, what is the name of this substance here? Is the uninterrupted drop. It's the uninterrupted drop. That is the drop. It's a very tiny substance. It's the drop of life. So sort of drop of life is what makes us to be alive.
Yeah. That deniga sa women nalola deni namshi the do on the kanaya. Ane ta karyong yoreze di paritale namshi yang thara yanda deni nong karlamba cheba marlamba nyertu nalamba azini rumbi chini ane yang deniga so namshi the raba ni ma tamu kanaya ma odini do shak yore.
And so at the moment of the process of dying, as we are saying, so after all of these four gross elements, they dissolved. So we start the dissolving of the process, dissolving of all the very subtle consciousness. And then in these stages of dissolving all the subtle consciousness, then we have the three appearance. Maybe some of you already heard about the appearance, like the whitish appearance, the reddish appearance, and then the black appearance.
Yeah. 타마들레야 디 니르툼 제아지 요리 니르툼 제아데 간도 온디 칼라 데니 디 무시 비틀레다나 디 닌가가 자 오마게 찌라 무시 비틀레제 뭐마 땅보 남시 데니 파마니 그타가 위서 남시 땅보식사 디가 나로라 아니 남시 데 팀도 온디 칼라 다 가르레즈 디 치와 오사르스 치와 오사르스데 디칼리아 샤리웅고 다 도나 몬디 큐리웅요레.
So so we are going through the process of death in the first four, gross consciousness, and then the last four, so a space, and then the whitish, reddish, and blackish appearance. When we arrive in the eighth stage, the last stage, so we came to this stage that where our consciousness, the very, very subtle, the subtlest consciousness is the only consciousness that is alive or is vivid in that moment. In that moment, so we are relying just in this middle center channel. So when this uninterrupted drop here, when it's separate, then means that the person is dead.
단다 가르레스 딩아르초
For
미데
example, now,
아니 시오 말레스 하고서
so before
리다
that,
심니든 레와 체요 메인 송자
when this drop is not separate, so the person is still not dead.
야, 다 타마들래야 디니가 틀레니들이 카 섬니 디나래야 마카 섬니 디리지니 어디 버리들 남시 디시고 송자
And when this drop,
남시다 냠들 롱요리 롱
when this drop, and so the part of the father's drop and the mother's drop is together, and it's together with the consciousness, right? And this consciousness, the consciousness is sort of with the fourth element, with the fourth life, or the consciousness of fourth life.
남시 참모 댄사가 롱데 디니 그쪽 데서 자운디 디니가 단다 팔리토비다 디니 틀리 참모다 말리토비 틀리 참모 디리지니 카체용.
And then this fourth life of this wind, a very, very subtle wind or consciousness that is here, then it's moving. When it's moving too much, and then finally this drop, the father mother's drop, they separate, then the consciousness goes, and then it starts, then it's dead.
근데 같이 온데 가나 남시 디나니 톤로데 가나
Yes, and
제가 디가울레데 시세야 등원이
And then when it opens, when the father mother drops opens, and then finally the consciousness it leaves, then finally we can consider it to be dead.
베나르소 디가울레 차론서 따다 디오스
And in that moment,
지마식 첨보
just in that moment, the smell, the body becomes stinky.
디 샤트랍도 좋서 몸보 차노야.
And then some stains come.
나나니마 차다 딘디 용야.
And then some liquid comes from the nose and from the mouth.
아니 가서 남시당 류니도 따다 카타.
Meaning that the consciousness and the physical parts, they are completely separate.
다 남시당 류니도 카타노데 가나 신도그리 시와다 아저 남기는 바르도스야데 바르세트바 딤님 차노.
Bardo. And then when this consciousness finally leaves from this physical part of the drops, then starts the Bardo part.
다 바르도레야 디나 네온디 칸리야 가르레지 디칸라 단다코 리스테 살바드라 메인 손자 다디 바르도 그때라 가조 네요레 람나 다 용침보도 소나나 가조 네와이나 자고 싶지 제르고 디게 난셀라 제네상은치
Okay, so this consciousness, when it's already free from this body, from these two drops, so it stays in a state that we call intermediate state or Bardo. And according to the Buddhist scriptures, this Bardo exists, or this consciousness stay in an intermediate state of life for maximum 49 days.
Yeah. That
49 days, yes.
나 바르도 땡레야 리드 따기 뛰나는 티와지간도 다 바르도 땡레야 딘디 제온데 간래야 아니 지금 리텐 상다 녜세야도 수체셔데 가르라티니 용고요레지 라로스소고 자와 상다 녜 무슨 디가 나올라 자와 상보 망보 지어바이나 리텐 야가지라 그레스 소소 무슨 디가 나올라 자와 디자 망보 지어바이나
And in this Bardo, we also rely on a body, like not this body, but is a Bardo body, right? And this Bardo brings you lots of suffering, or gives you a very pleasant experience during the Bardo time, depending on what. If your life was pleasant or unpleasant, it was virtuous or non-virtuous. That's why we repeated before that verse, that if your thoughts and attitudes and motivations are good, so all your path and life is going to be good. If your way of thinking is bad and attitudes are bad, so definitely the body that you take, the next body, is going to bring you lots of suffering. For example, If one
롱강
is very,
기본하는 대충으로
if one is very rich, you can stay in a very nice guest house, isn't it?
골모 유유 맞으면은
But if you are poor,
롱강 야보나
yes,
대투고
your
말해
guest house is not going to be so nice.
배대나셔래.
Just like that.
어다 타주도 시 타주 제그래서
And who
꼰초고야
decides
타주
this
제투고 말해.
is not the
대나로
creator
소소 그
God.
타주
Creator
제그래.
God doesn't decide anything for you. It's one's own attitudes.
맞아 보바가 뺄래야 지가리오래. 나마 강제 따티 룰라투. 제가 나마 양보제요다 드보제요메 다다게 제가 리본델레 때나요. 하고 그래.
There is one Tibetan proverb that says, your present depends on relies in the cause of your past. What means that if today your body is good, it's just the sign that actually your previous you was very good person. If within this very life, even the life has lots of difficulties, or your body is too plenty of diseases and so forth, it's just a sign that you are the result of previous non so good actions that you did before.
치마 간도 따티 셈라 투스. 제랑 치마 장아진 람가 상부 질란도다 람가 두가 질란도다 단다게 제랑 그산 셈레 삼로다 제랑 그 셈바 zambu yaga mambu yona jena lamga chemale lamga yako chilan dogre dande nerkala cheran ka samlo de diga chima to mewayina mambu yina lamga diga chima to rag mares.
Likewise, the proverbs follows like, and the future also depends on your present attitudes. What is that? If in the future, even now and in the future's lives and so forth, you want to experience like more pleasant moments without or less difficulties, realize what is the cause of this, relies in the attitudes and the way of thinking of the present moment. For example, usually I draw this example. So if you believe in the next lives, there are two paths, two ways, right? Two paths. Two roads. Yes, they are the upper realms or the lower realms, just like the scriptures. Or we are like, for those that believe in the next lives, so we have two roads, the good road and the bad road. Let's say that that's me. So let's say that that's me. So this little, it's him. And so if I go to the good path or to the right or to the wrong path, it's in my hands. As much good actions, as many good attitudes that one takes within these lives, definitely this will help you to guide you to the better path. Or if you use one's own life, just doing things that maybe harm more people than help others, maybe you have a very good chance to go down. But actually, like some people say, oh my God, so what to do? Because they already harmed so many people. And so now I have no hope. No worries. It's not like that. You still have hope. There is one lama that is called Sangi Nyimbar.
Norshi, Jushi, Yanta Lambton Rose, Payagudo. Not so Nutria Mombo Yungres, Nutri Mombo Yungreta, Nutri the Nutri in Basoso, Munzi Yapoche, and then Nutri to Zoju Jaki, Tamatala, and the Yanta Bilam Landro to Grace.
And usually this Rinpoche says something very important, that is, we have many mistakes, but as long as we recognize the mistakes and apply methods to fix these mistakes, then we still have hope to achieve a better path in the future. Those that come to the library, to my class in the library, they already listen to this example, isn't it? This advice is very good. Did you get it?
주시
So
양당 람도 로
to recognize karisa norshi.
노시 주시 용 양당 람도 로
Okay, to recognize the mistakes, to fix these mistakes, then you can follow to the right path,
그래?
isn't it?
저랑 직접
Kör. Norshi.
말해 인지돈
In English.
인지.
that's it.
Usually Geshe says to memorize either in Tibetan or in English the verses, and then he just asks to parry.
Go to the right path by correcting the mistakes.
오,
Also.
저랑
Go to the right path by correcting the mistakes.
너를 눈치야 뭐 중거리 가서라 눈치
Even though we have
뭐
lots of
용거리
mistakes, it's
이나양 대 너를
But-
주제기 지게
but at
이나
least we
눈치
can,
눈치
we
막
can
말에는 전이 팬도요 말다.
But yes, it's true that if you have so many mistakes, like if you can recognize them, you can fix them. This is the best way of having the mistakes, to fix them. But then not to recognize the mistakes, like there is no use at all.
소소라 눈치 가려요 봐이나 눈치 때야 야보 뭔지
It's
다
important to recognize
눈치
the
때야
mistake,
주로와 당기 제바이나
to accept them,
아니
and to
타마달라
fix
가려요
them.
거래에서디 미상모 세아티 용거래스
And if you do recognize the mistakes, accept them, and correct them, definitely you become a better person.
페나 단다 버당 아당아
For
지체비
example.
간사데 미상보 용 마타바 가르레진 소소고 눈치 때 소소고 눈치 바 원즈 마지 된 지로와 땅도 마지니 다 미디까 차대요.
For example, if I am not a good person, means what? That actually I have the same mistakes as everyone else, but I didn't even accept my mistakes or I didn't fix them. So that's why I'm a bad person.
가르쳐 주제니나 이기도 지대
Doesn't matter if you
주케
have,
말랭케 임바이나 이기도 가서라 기체쇼 가르레즈나 더나 가서 미상보지고도 보상보지고도
doesn't matter,
보상보지고도
and doesn't matter if you believe in God or no God, and if you have any religion or what is our life philosophy. There's no, it's not up to this. Actually, is the most important is really to become a better person, because everyone else like wants to be together with a good person, isn't it?
보상보지도 보모상보지 용어로 제발라 가려용 거래 가르고 그래지 딱히 손바들이 소소 눈치 방문즈 집이 토니 눈치 등지와 당샤바이나 보상보 보모상보
Because everyone likes to be a good person, isn't it? If that person is good, even a good boy, a good girl, a good person, everyone wants to be together with that person, isn't it?
야다 더다 가르레지 되가나 야만로 마마도 티 파리텔이야 파르도 와서
Okay.
나서 파르도 와서 디가나 까까레 나서 뽑아 밀란 초담 당게 가르레 저예 야미 마미 가르레 저 파르도 와 나신신 근데 초담 당요
Yes, and so actually in Brave, like we all like it's in our hands to really to be in a good path or in a bad path, or to have more happiness or to have more problems and so forth. It's in one hand, and in between one life and other lives, is what we call like Bardo or intermediate state. And the person that is in the intermediate state is still the person that still didn't take the good or the bad path, is still in the middle. And sometimes we even in Tibetan, we have a saying, like a joke that, like when the person is a little bit like just ignoring everything, ignoring the life and so forth, sort of no sense and so forth. So we say, what you are doing? You're not doing anything with your life. Are you a Bardoa? Are you a person in the intermediate state?
야 제가 다 딘데 손사 가서 다 딘데 지랑 이버던 가서 로 고우요래 다 로고와라 다티 가르치 고레스나 페나 가서 드솔이야 펜도 용야 마시비 응원들이야 아라로 소소게 있네요 다티 당 삼로 당 고야데 백기치 무차되요래
So all of us, we have to go through this, isn't it? Like we have to go through the Bardo. And so it's very important to first recognize and to get ready for this, to go ready for the next step. And so to get ready means to know what should we have to think and how we have to behave.
다나신 그 지금 소소고 파마라서 받던데 종조집이 까블이 임바 있나요 마종위 응원래야 소소 가르치 제야고 제기요나 제텀나
Likewise, like one's own parents. So before they go first, from us, like is usually it's like that. And so how can I be of benefit for them? And so what they have to do in order to really go more smooth through this path.
야, 당하죠 지 축해랭이다 근데 임바이나니 아니 양 추나면에 제요래 추제비 까울레 임바이나요 지 파쇼 네발 벤자다 렘니 암초고 지 다다서 고위 깝 딘디그 깝레야 아니 추망아 제텀나 파쇼달라 펜도 망아 용요래.
And if we are helping someone who is going through this stage, a patient who is starting this stage, and so it's very important to pray or to speak something, give some advices from the person's belief. So it doesn't matter which religion is, to give the advices from the religions of the belief of the person.
야. 다지 주 무슨 그 축해 말랭케 센더마도 케 말랭케지 임바이나야 소소고 딘디그 지 파말라서 봐 딘디그 동조집이 까블이야 디그 틸란도니 pe shikchimbo nguyando ta ani kaja dikya shiando ta tindi tsawani majina yaga yore.
And also it's very important when the person is entering and until the end of this stage, it's very important not to not to speak like bad things or to cry and so forth. It's very important not to do this just next to the body.
주어도 가르에서 봐서 내봐도 배 semba lolo
It's very important to leave the body of the person in a very relaxed and very relaxed way.
강인 슈가이나 소소 다긴 체갈라 모델이야 리컴고 종화 사인 종화도 지인 종화도 뭐뭐 냠종원데 간래야 배가서 나사 배 등원식 쳔보요래 디간래야 코 semba 마키 버지니 어디니 제샤바이나 등원 니사 섬사 레용고요소사 아진가 깔리 가고 차도 요래.
And why is that? Why is important not to displease that person, the patient who is going through this process? Because all the sickness, the mental and emotional sickness that the person will carry to the next step usually comes through these winds. And while the winds is still there, and so if you turn that person unhappy or unsatisfied and so forth, because you're showing your unhappiness and so forth, so this person will carry that sadness or that problem just like sickness to the next step.
어디 가서 거기서 지와디나라 아디니 치갈라몰라 가르치 고래 시찬이 던트라 가르치 고래에서 디와진도.
Yes, we had this question last week. Do you remember that when we are dying, what is important to do? And then after 1 week, what's going on with our consciousness? And after 2 weeks and so forth, we had this question.
야, 다디 인소자 다기 공로시와 나시데 어디니 치갈라 모델이야 파쇼도 홀로지 semba 홀로샤 고야다 고 안정나라야 디니지 가자디 자마시바 홀로샤 고야다 주우레 디강래야 추켈레니 지바이나 지 양소소가 지 대바다나요서 라마도 딘딜이야 아지 디 거버다 딘디 지 그런 건 통사리 살라 딘디 샤고야도다 디니 한카kal래야 지 데지 지추 나서 도바도 산도다 딘디 데지 암정나타.
So when the person is dying, so it's very important to do everything that we already said now here. That is like either like to leave the person in a very relaxed way, happy way, and not displease that person, that body or that person, and also like to pray or to give some advices from the belief of that person. If you have also the opportunity to put the picture of the God or the deities and so forth, of the belief of the person. So it's very important to the person before close the eyes to look at this is very important. Or if you manage to also offer some prayers and so forth, it's important to pray in that moment. Okay?
number sola chi yoachila karyoreziti naron go garden jang gi shini ge chase yoachire that again nyoshi bi kalena ngaro ana neola musuyo ane ge tongkala mo tinde imba inayang mus de yore die so langa so genga pendine sumte de yoba di katita yaru moji dilichi pendine chine ya
Krishna Paramita.
kati yaru moji ko bon de chine je thamsa dilichi shadi kala
Krishna Paramita.
dine pe tongkala mo de la genga karana so se diga kapjila dine chine ngala ngati titela dine yore ane ngala ma de chine ban chambo chine 텐카시 되는 중에 라발라 좀니 되는지 텐카시 되는 아니 그거를 안지니 그거를 배 너무 진지니 되니 배 되는지니 되는 발로 지니 종송 어디인데 가나야 되니 그거를 다 되니 지니 되니 제가 있는 때내 배도 그 요사에서 내가 서로 좀
For example, I have my own experience. Like I had my very, very precious teacher, one of my very precious teachers, and at the monastery, and I followed him his whole life, and then until the moment that he became sick, and just before he died, like we placed his body. Just before, when he was still like awake and so forth, we placed his body in his bed, and in his feet, certain his feet, just like here, like there was the picture of His Holiness Dalai Lama, and then so he could just by looking, by opening his eyes, he could look directly to the picture of His Holiness, and so he could meet His Holiness directly, and also not only that, like. Of course, we were worried and a little bit sad because we were about to lose our teacher, our main teacher. But like in that moment, like we are very how to do this, petting, like we are petting him and like holding his hand and so forth. And he was in a very relaxed and very calm fashion like this, looking at His Holiness picture, and we are all like very nice and good with him, speaking very soft and some prayers and so forth, and then like this, and then slowly he looking at a picture of His Holiness, and then he passed away in a very calm way.
Likewise,
either like the Christians, Muslims and so forth. If you can put the picture of Jesus or the lamas and so forth, it's very, very beneficial, mainly to reduce the fear that arises in that moment.
Yeah, that okay. Then that young maso dunsu le ngaso bobala tini lisoriore. Dunsu chini tini ga yang chuche anu da tini lisoriore. That so karre bena so bu pami ge che tini chuche ba ina yang tongde ni ga pamale ya pen tong do ya. Yang so gela tong som ba ina getri de so yang gela ge che de chuna ma de che ba ina yang gela la ya musar ga pen do yo ba. O tini tende yung go yore.
So in brief, it's like that. And so it's very important, just like the parents took so much care of us in our childhood, it's crucial for us to do exactly the same in their moment when they are going. And so it's very important to do all of the good things and help them to go. Likewise, like the teachers, they really dedicate their whole lives in order to educate the students and disciples and so forth. So at the moment that they are going, it's very important for us also to help them to go in a smooth way. For example, Milarepa. And so, for example, we have in our history Milarepa that was born in Tinri. And people from Tiri, they really request Milarepa to really stay in their own place. Yes. And Samlan Dogori Madunga de Mimong Yam the Dea Yomar and Dogoris, that the Jism Kalamani. And so Milarepa, when all the community of Tiri request Milarepa to stay in Tiri, then they say he replied to his community, well, I'm not a person from community, like I not be here. I go to the mountains. That Jizaya didn't you get such a Tarimbo, that Mime Longton, Tinilea, and then he left to the mountains. And then he left to the mountains, to a very remote area.
나 진짜 야 배차도 가다 군간로 인사리 근데 강지 옆 카와지 봐셔 니셔 접길이야 카와 봐봐리
Nima. Nima
니셔 접길 니셔 접길 니셔서 지소 니셔 잡시 근데 인가서 년다 샤스 디가 지소 니셔 잡시
And probably it was winter in that moment. And in that moment, because when he arrived up in the mountains, in the place where he decided to set, it was snowed for 18 days.
니모지든 세모지는 니샤랑
Okay, 80 days, like 18 days and night.
다 드니 질레페 카와 밤니 드니 지원데 간라다 아니 그야 미망도서 야 지진 레야 실라 피산로 두고 말다
And because of this, so people from the community couldn't go to meet Milarepa at the mountain because it was snow so
다
strong.
다와 카실라 딘딜 한로 온데 간라야 나 지진 페 실라데 소페 존로 요라
And of course, after 18 days without meeting any people, so of course the food that he took with him, it was already finished.
다 미망도서 삼바이나 땅아 졸라마 공부조다 가르지데 다코 다와몬보 유길라사디 간라야 아니 땅가서 라마 공부조사리 디테니 다 종사레스 데니 제니 다 미망고 먹기니 고조페 라미기 체도 다페 좀 저버분이 되는 도마도 되니 망보시고 되니 제거.
And so and the community was very worried because oh my God, if you don't meet our Mirarepe, if you don't go there and meet our Lama, so you're not able to give food and so forth. And so how can you be for such a long time like in retreat and so forth? And so out of the love and faith of their own Lama, they really make so many prayers and so forth in order to open that path. And then they could reach again their Lama.
데니 다 갑질이야 대제 강마 대제 추주도 차디가나 데니 고조페 양도니 땅아서 유긴도니 라미가 루고노 데니 대제라와이나 땅아서 데마키오니 찬시자도 초된도 데니 장니 어디니 제고는다 라미가 구린도 데니 레산도 군두진 딱고서 칼레 jamni 강가난 야 도니 미만도 로고요.
And then finally the path, all of the snowed path, so it opens, finally the snow release a little bit, and then the path open, and then some of the habits of the people from that moment, it was like even if the Lama dies, and even if there's just the bone of that Lama, so the students, the disciples, they go after the rest of the bodies, just to take the body and then to really give a proper end to the body.
ताकोसो काले युके लामा साले ले ओंदे काले लामा पे गोम जामनी पे ngoने ओसो चिमतो का उछि
And then they really like strive so much to go and reach the same place where Milarepa it was supposed to be, and they thought that he was already dead, right? They were sure that he was completely dead, but no, he was completely in a very fresh way, like just meditating.
ताकोसो चामा लामा लपान जानी
And then
तामाजो लामा ट्रोमुंद पे
they were so happy.
जिला करे रासों
So happy, like meeting again their Lama, Milarepa. They hug him and say, oh, you didn't die so much. You didn't die. We are happy so much and so forth. And so how did you managed to not to die? Like, what did you eat?
아니 라메 가라 송고레
And what he said?
아 실라 가마 니타페 조 송스
Yeah, from long ago, since the beginning, I have no
무슨
food.
칼라피니에서 간 민두스
Oh, of course, nobody brought me any
요
food.
말와다
Like there was nobody to bring me food.
임바이나야 배 칼라존에 곰jamni 데데가 있는 존이 저거 존이 또 나용 거면도스 집에 가르레 소소래 진 나와디 나로라 가려운 것도 지 칼라로다 또 심보시부터 지 라야한다고 나와도 가디나 용도 아니 곰jamni 데데나 다가랑 저거 존이 또 마송스
But because I was meditating, I didn't even notice that my stomach it's supposed to be empty, and so I was not feeling hungry or thirsty and anything.
아니 저러서 가르치야 라메 막
And then Milarepa asked, and you guys, what are you doing?
아주 라마 공부 조사를 삼네 목에 벤 줘봐 부벤 돈반도 되니 자체모배 몸보체
And what are you doing? What did you think about it? Like, did you think that I was dead? Yes, of course. We thought that you already died. We even like made so many prayers for you and so forth.
어디 갈래야 되니 짐멜라가 가라송도
At that moment, Milarepa was
소소고
said,
파마 종바이나 소소고 지금 수 종바이나 디기 치에도 맞아 진지과도 소고 아니 게사 드바이나 땡데 종로이들 땡데 펜도도 무슨 송도
and so in that very moment, it came that advice from Milarepa to his disciples. That was, so it's very important to really dedicate to pray from the deep of the heart and dedicate any kind of virtues that you do in order to benefit the person who is going. So whatever you did, so also benefit me.
야, 다 그렇죠. 그 지와도 소 나노라 랜드소 다 양 드니도 진짜 시지자이다. 지와 가리오나.
So okay, so this was a little bit explanation for the questions about Bardo and what to do and so forth. Okay, if you have more questions, please come on. Okay, I have a question. When we do Prajna Paramita for someone, when we recite Prajna Paramita, maybe for someone who has been diseased for more than 49 days, which part of the person are we praying for? Da penani chisha shiramnim bin sarira pena krisinga su shiramnim poki molam kyabe kabla kyordura so ani kritsendera ani tsendela tsende pente yanchidu anga so yamena molam ramira so kyurkirera o de kala kilsi ani nima shipshir gus jela di chonsarne dele mawa ani man akarisa dawanila sopa ani chonsarna 아니 미디 칸데스 펭기레스 so 미기 차셰 카레 펭기레스
다들솔라 펜도단 담한다 몸보용 초구요래 빼나 딘디 요래다 아주 빼나 미 가시 코소 사동 몽동라 미 어디니는 로데비 까블레야 가리 용구요래 지가 코소가 지가 나고나노라 아주 남지가 술당야 지고라 술당야 술그 드마토니 코 저거 또 신비 깔래 사저 동벌로 깔래 미가시 아니 저저 술그 드마데 베 나고나라 잠니 아니 저거 야야가 나와 샤리아도다 어디니 뭐 용거
kilsi molam kyamna
미세미다 동보 미카시 사저 동바 메미 롱동 딘디라 한도야 딘디로 어디니 미드솔야 까고라디야 술그 드마데 소소 나나라 존 소소 저거 딘디
Well, definitely there are benefits, right? If you do prajna paramita or any kind of prayers for the disease, okay? For example, before entering in this part specifically, for example, you know, when people get lost in a very remote area, there is no water, no food, and nothing, so that those people are really like hungry and so forth. But if they can smell a little bit of the smoke of, you know, incense with a little bit of some herbs and so forth, just by smelling the smoke of that herb, definitely is also helpful for that person, so they can have a little bit of taste through the smoke of tasting a little bit of food, and so it brings them the sensation of full stomach. And why is that?
Ale da chini de tsang mari ko metse koron le ya sar tani tini mamoyo cheza tini yond kala soso da pama ben dewa am yana put chi karza shata kan dewa yana chi ze ben dewa yo sonza ti toni kozo ko sar tani de pasho de pen do ya chi.
So I'm showing this because if you also do the prayers together with the incense, burning the incense or burning incense with some substance and so forth, so definitely they also will, doesn't matter how many days after their death, so also they will sort of smell that smell, and they will be benefited for that smell, for the prayer and from the smell of the incense that you are doing. Mainly if you have a connection, if you had a direct connection, like like parents and family members, and so you have a strong relationship.
Yeah, teni sonza maru cho namjini chi sozo mi sang chona ta ga zo chukele yimba ina ya ji mo tenza ya ji pundo te gar che gore ti ga pasho lama da susoni 제와 소고 제가 통인 제와 제가 통인 제와 손이 단다 시로니 뭐 교려하다 근데 가르 지만이 교려하다 근데 가르 뭐 고통중이들 그 펜도야지
For this reason, to strengthen this kind of connection is that, for example, so many people, mainly in our tradition, like in our community, we after our parents or our family members and so forth, they die. Many of us, we go to the monasteries or to those who can pray, and we offer some money. That offering, like donation or offering, that offering is not matter of how much is money. This is not the case, but like it's giving some physical substance to the Lama that will bestow the prayers. And so through this physical connection that one is committed to give to the person, and so all that prayers, really the energy that comes with these prayers is much more stronger, and then can benefit much better the other person, the deceased. For example, in our own experience.
람살라도 자와도 소이 지금 접샤야노 다 지금 소소 삼바신도 지금 리하가 리라원도야노 근데 뭐뭐 용도 또 소이 바이나 기왕아마 남서 소소 레상보다요 자나게 소소라 몰로 자와라 소바 딘디금 튼니 데네 용고.
And we have this in our own experience, in daily experience, isn't it? Like try to recollect in your own practice. For example, there are so many activities that all of you, all of us, we do without thinking too much. And without even be so much prepared and without striving so much, suddenly, oh, I already did. Like we didn't even put so much effort or so much attention and so forth. We just did it. Like we didn't even notice how we could accomplish some activities. Rather, some people like really strive so much to accomplish something and they cannot. And we, without even thinking, oh, I did. I didn't even notice. Why is that? Because actually, this is the result of having. First of all, a past habit, past karma or past habit in that activity, and also it's the result of good prayers from before to the present activities time. But actually we humans are a little bit strange. Because actually we think that just because we are praying is gonna benefit immediately. It's not like that. Why? For example, today I'm stomach sick, I have my stomach sickness here. And she gave me this medicine. It's not just because I just took this medicine, so of course my sickness is not healed yet. It's not like that. For example, when we go to the hospital and we ask to the doctor, please give me something to heal me now immediately. It's not like that, isn't it? Like usually we do this, isn't it? Or you don't do? Just now, like we want to be cured now. Kyosho. There's nothing so quickly, isn't it? We want all the results to be completely quickly, but it's not like that. It's the same. So all the prayers, it's just like medicine. It's just a condition. So all the prayers and so forth is just a condition, just like medicine. Medicine is just a condition for our disease to be a little bit quiet. It's not like the main cause, isn't it? We have to have medicine. And then we have to have good exercise and so forth. And then we have to take care on our food. So many causes and conditions to heal from our disease. Just like that. And so to practice a dharma or to practice a good spirituality is the same.
니지 자 주세요 지도.
Oh, there is another question. There is another question also that is, you know, in the Bardo, there is one hook of compassion from the Lama. What is this? We will receive this question, isn't it?
니지 자 주세요.
You know the hook? The compassion of, you know the hook?
아니 저 소속 라마당 다데 수임바이나 콜라 니지 첨보 요바이나요. 무기가 드샤도 솔래야 대바 알론데 메바 알론선 데는 데나시도. 대비 알론 메와이나 고 니지 요바 니지가 자지 요바이나 대비 알론 거 무기도 목투고 말해서.
And so, you know the hook, right? Hook is a little bit open like that in order to hook the person, isn't it? So the compassion hook of a lama is something open. This hook is something open. It's not like closed as this mark here. Why is like that? Because it has to be open in order to hook something. Otherwise, this cannot hook anything because it's closed. For example. Doesn't matter how much we try to catch just this from outside, like we cannot take this, we cannot catch this, isn't it? But if you try to catch from inside, not just from outside, from inside, we can hold it, isn't it? We can hook it, isn't it? So we need to accomplish, we need to have full conditions from both sides. From the side of the side of the student or disciple, has to be a very genuine faith in the Lama. And from the side of the Lama has to be a very genuine compassion. So by the power of the compassion of the Lama, and then if the student has the faith, then he can hook it. Okay, let's leave aside the Lama. Just like teacher and student from school, okay?
Gela lobtula lobja kato na kara labna ko tata jangre gela kala yakunyengdo gela kola labat pentogdo lobtula.
For example, let's leave aside Lama and disciple and all of these religious matter. Let's just leave aside in our daily experience, like teacher and students. So if the students really likes the teacher, so all the advices from the teachers, immediately the students hear, listen, accept, and really put into practice. So it's not just out of the respect and love of the teacher. It's also out of the respect and faith from the student side that the advices is beneficial to the student. But if the student doesn't like the teacher, doesn't matter how well and how knowledgeable is the teacher, it's not gonna benefit the student. So it's out of the good relationship between teacher and student that the benefit that the teacher can give, it will really reach to the student. If the relationship is not good, is not respectful and so forth, doesn't matter how well the teacher try to help the student will never be well helped. Just like this example. Just like that, also teacher, disciple, and lamas.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, next question. If you guys here also have questions, you can do it. Yeah.
What happens to the two drops from the mother and father when they separate?
아니, 티파니도 파마니기 티파. 그래서 카텔 드나 카레체게레 티파니 주체기 티파니.
그니 카트렌 로온데 갈라 제자 남시드 티파리로 판로요서 되는 거죠. 리단 셈니드 카트렌 로요서 되니 네. 시자데 용거레.
아니 티파 카와도 게레. 그런 게 튀어들이.
Well,
just when the two drops, like the father and mother drops, right? They separate, and then the consciousness leaves, and then the life leaves to the next life, goes to the next life. So because it's physical part, so the physical part just dispels. Okay, and then the person is dead.
ngazo 가르레즈 되게 밤이 당보 ngazo 저런 양 되저 고뇨년나
I don't know
딘데야나
if you already heard
딘데야나
about
중이
the 12 links of dependent origination.
타마들라
Is represented in the wheel of life, in that
딘데야나
in the wheel
중이
of life.
오 딘데야나 중이 여기 저식바 깨와서 지도 저식바 깨와서 하데 아니 바르도가 남시데 앞에나 아미가 커터가 파면이 커터가 위에서 땅보 남시 식사가 어디 커터 땅만 니들래야 다기 맞은데 미시비 들레서 하데 어디 대차거래 진익디 저식 밖에와 어디 남시 아미 커터니 위에서 남시 막 파만이 커터 디바 잠고 부차위 잡아요 말와 남시 디바를 렌즈고
So in these 12 links of dependent origination, which is represented in the wheel of life, the wheel of life with the Lord of Death and so forth. And so in the 11th draw, that is the 11th link, that is birth. So the birth doesn't mean that when the kid goes out from the mother's womb, but is when this drop is formed, when the father and mother drops come together with the consciousness. When the consciousness enter in the drop of the mother and father's drop, so it becomes the uninterrupted drop. So just like that, this is exactly what represents the 11th link of interdependent origination, that is the link of birth. From this moment, the person is alive. It's not just because the father and mother, the sperm and the blood, sperm or oval come together. This doesn't mean that the embryo or the life is started.
야, 자자, 다그 남시다 군인데와 천종원데가라, 그 디파린도원데가라, 그 다보 잡님에 연소사 그 냠로래. 그 가서 뭐 제시지려와.
And so likewise, so when the consciousness leaves from these, the consciousness is the owner, sort of owner of this little house here. So when the owner leaves, so of course there's no more owner, and so it degenerates. Just likewise, our house also. If there are people live in the house, yeah, if there's someone living in the house, and so the house is well protected and so forth. When there's no one living in the house for a long time, so of course that house also is sort of degenerating. So
서로하다 시바되게 내선 되어서 단다 루미도 단다데 장로나라 지금 고문도 알아봐.
So likewise, all of us, we have this little meat house here. And so this meat house here, why is it still like that? It's not like it's not degenerated, it's not stink. I mean, if you take bath and so forth. Why is like that? Because our consciousness is still here. We still have sensations and so forth. And why? How do we know that we have sensations? If there is a little bit of cold, and so we immediately protect us. Why? Because we have these sensations of cold and hot and so forth.
Yeah. 자자 다코 시바다다 카텐 대화 천종원데 갈라.
So after our consciousness separates, and then these generate, and then all of our physical body also degenerates.
어때 trolando와 되냐면 딱이 두 번이 돼요. trolando죠.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question about twins.
Anisima?
Especially
Tingin
Siamese
Simada.
twins that share one body. How does it work? Is it like counted as two consciousnesses in Buddhism?
Simani hagoy.
Is it like one, and if a Siamese twin would die, is it possible that one is dead already while the other one is still there?
Kochi kamera o de kabla ni zuponiris ina simaniduas ani simanima sonsa ani soglu ina dayamena namshinires yamena chire.
다도 좋다래.
Yeah, then we have
그래서
to
가르레지 디간라 양고 니요 되냐 수고 지바 인데 디니도.
sometimes when there's two bodies and one head.
아니 코니 그 지금 삼로 당당다 시가 기당도 저 로카 임바이나 남시 로카 요데레. 남시 로카 요바이나 코니 남시 내사돼야 로카 찬도 요레.
So if when the twins, like when the person shares the same body but has two heads, if those two heads they think in a different ways, is the sign that actually they have separate consciousness. So two different people.
고니 요바이나 남시 그 삼로 당다 지마도 메바이나 따가랑
But sometimes
Cool.
they have two heads and
남지치마도
they
있고.
think exactly the same way, that is the sense that it's just one consciousness there. Okay. After the depart have gone for several years, is it still beneficial to dedicate to them? And how to know if the departure and how to know if the departed have gone to somewhere better. I know this could be a silly question. No, nothing is silly question. No worries. Okay. And then 아니 그래서 그 생각서 촌사와 유교랑 소 빙가라 소파 촌에 로페 만포파 도선라 타둥 모모람 기아나 팽기레베스 직체스 아니 콘소 사차 야가 아니 야가 도선 드마선 간데 사고 그래
알레오 다데스 사자 야간로다 만로다 그지 그 신도 고지린 송사 데 니디 하고 그래서니 데제 리라고 돈에 제 랍도야 지요 말에 그 뭔시 요데니로다 데니 마이나는 그 드린드린드린 두즈니 고다다가랑 그 문이 위시에 더 요레마도 젠데 야간로다 디고도 도요메데 시다 시 조조 지요 말에
well to know where this person went to which kind of place, if it's better or not. Actually, this is a very hidden phenomenon. How we say this in Buddhist philosophy, or like it's almost impossible to know for us normal people. Okay, but like we can at least to have a glimpse on the top of its own one's own experiences. So if he had a better life, like better attitudes and so forth, we can assume that he probably went to a better place and so forth, but it's just assumption. We cannot be completely sure. That's one thing.
Well,
we don't even know we don't even know where we go next month, isn't it? Likewise, so if we cannot know where we go next month, so let's leave aside the other person that goes to another lives and so forth. It's a very hidden phenomenon for us. And definitely any kind of dedication that you do, even if it's already dead for many centuries, definitely is very beneficial for the person. From my own experience. After I finished my Geshe course,
아니 지금부터 드리지니 아니 저는 소주 유튜브사 드리질 드리질랑아 대사라나 삼능에 까디는 모노 접대고리가 그게 다살어디.
For example, when I was in the monastery, like after 23 years of so much hardship and studies and so much work in the monastery itself, after when I finished my before I finished my 23 years of Geshe program, I was always sort of praying, if I can confess to you guys, I was always sort of praying, after I finish my course, I pray that I can go to a very calm place, like in a very small school, to work very little, and so I can relax a little bit. I was praying to this. And then after my 23 years, I went to the tantric school. When I was more or less the third month of my studies of Tantra, then my teacher called me. Hey, so people from Dharamshala, from the library, are calling for to a good teacher. They are calling me. And what about you? Would you like to go to Dharamshala to teach the foreigners? And then I become so afraid, so anxious. Because in Dharamshala I have to teach the foreigners. During 23 years, I badly even spoke to lay people, lay Tibetan people, leave aside like foreigners. Then I couldn't accept this, and then I said I cannot go. I replied this to my teacher, and then I said sorry, I can't go. I'm afraid. I cannot go. I told him. No problem, he told me. No problem. You have some translators. And then when my teacher told me this, and then I said, okay, but you know it was not from my heart. I couldn't even sleep that night. And then Geshe the director of the library, contacted me. And then he told me, and first of all, he told me, oh, no worries, you don't need to be afraid of this, because actually there are more Geshes that probably they might come in your place. Oh, that's very good. I was so happy. And then I was relaxed. And then after someone else also called me. And then someone told me, if you are sure that you go to the library, you have to decide now that if it's sure that you go or not. Okay. Yeah, someone else. Okay, someone else. And then someone asked me this, right? Like, if you really go, you have to decide yourself. And then I told him, I can't decide because I am so afraid. And then I called my teacher again. They are really calling me teacher. Please. I really cannot go. Please tell them that I'm not a good teacher to go. But then teacher said, oh, they are calling you, so yes, you have to go. You have to go. And then I arrived in Dharamshala. And then, but actually, after I arrived here, all the problems that I imagined actually didn't happen. And why I'm telling these stories? Because actually, to pray for something really has power. Any kind of praise that we do. So even though if some of us might think that actually the prayers are just words and so forth, it's not like that. Really, they have power. Okay. So let me read some questions that come from home. The 12 factors of dependent arising. What is spontaneous rebirth? That was 2 years. 아니 레이균 제타돈 레마소
추석 까마 시대 까마 쉽지르산
그래
가르자
단다 아니 진짜 아니 티와치니
몽부도 저는 티와요
sorry the time is already finished and but what to do, like if there is many questions. Do you have questions? Who has questions? Okay, one two de la tis again. Tistina che sono tutto con suo inizio tanto casare.
Dite mambudular.
Re, ani tiwa chigi zani ko tiwa dana dige.
Yeah. The karchi tomo.
Just wait. No problem. Okay. I mean, if some of you have to go, you can leave, and those if you can stay, you just enjoy. So one of them. So the first one, it was the request to overview and emphasis in the essence of each of the 6 bardos. The Bardo Duka, Bardo Duka Geshe, Tistu do Suntuna, the Chiwa Tampuchiche, Ani Chiwa Nipa, da Ani Devachendu Kiwalasra, Ani so Ani Niepartunga so Kare, so Wang la Sopani Gore Besra. This is a request. Gore besa deva chengi nyamlen chiachedus. Wan gore gumares chiche nipa kilsi ngak menara. Ngak mena ngatso Ani shiva kablara shika lamo countries pento yures chi niche sumkatis ani first ones yamantaka hakoya yamantaka tangani dewa chengi nyamlen ke parkari yume shipatis ani de dewa chengi nyamlen tang ani ngaki nyamlen jamida dwa o di parula ke partira so ani dulchagi kamtamopagi latene nyamlen ke par yure besra ani tama ani shipapoa de ani kewa penani korwala kea yagares yamera ani dewa chengi kamla ani kewa yagares kawa kewa di kawa yagares ode
다 지와 몸부도요. 지와 몸부 요 송사 가서 지마치 가서
so yakatsom
지금 좀나 뒤야가 요사리 마도 지와 빼 몸부도.
yeah here we have like 4 5 6 questions here okay
근데 요 송사 다 되나네 지. 더
actually we
담보다
have 10 because next week
가르에서
we have
대마
4 left.
대화전도 지와라야 이버도 지금 나가 냠는 이버 지고 그래베서는 되고 말이에요.
Well, but in brief, like maybe we can gather together actually next time. But in brief here from these questions, well, first of all, Amitabha practice, the Amitabha practice is a tantric practice first.
인소서 단다 지와 장다 몸보지도. 그래서 사망가서 내제 되거나야 이름을 찾은 도사. 지마 형 가서 이버도 곧 제초를
Lasso.
되잖아.
Okay. Yes, it's a Vajrayana or tantric practice. Yes, and so in order to answer all of these tantric practice and so forth, let's gather together another day.
근데 살학발이야. 아니 주소는
Tagin.
공수요 뭐지? 맞을 공수요 살학발.
Tanda salaka.
응.
Ale.
근데 지금 총계 송사.
Ale.
맞을 공수요.
어,
근데
치치나.
공수요 양아졌다. 다 돈다 지만 제가 있는 리서버.
Yes, we can think. Let's see. Maybe this Wednesday, maybe we have holidays. If you have, then we will communicate. Okay.
근데 야다 저랑 지키죠. 소리. 저
Please, if you have some questions, because these 10 questions, and maybe we
거신 지키죠.
what?
It's about the Pure Land, the Amitabha you were talking
They were
about.
Chandra.
When you started about the Amitabha and the land, and when you manifest all this beautiful land. But somehow in this body, in the duality we have around us and in us, and we get signs sometimes of the higher realms, and you have like sometimes contact with celestial beings because of your past lives. It's not that you're a great meditator in this life, but something is happening which is coming from the back of like many lives of karma. So if you have these signs coming in for you and you can't explain them, you can't share them because it's something which is a play of the silence and it's very telepathic for you. But then you have this realization of something which really satisfies you that you have this potential of being a Buddha or that we have this Buddha-ness. So are we like, what kind of a practice one should do when you're having these signs coming in and you feel like helpless sometimes because you're the only one, you can't even share about these things happening to you?
But you started talking about the practice of Pure Land, of Amitabha
Yes,
Pure
yes,
Land.
yes.
So you do the practice of Amitabha Pure Land.
Okay.
That's your point. That's
Yeah, like what kind of practice one should do, like if
What can-
somebody is like
but nowadays-
manifesting the Pure Land or the Amitabha.
in order to manifest the Pure Land.
Yes.
Okay, now you're not practicing this.
No.
Okay. You just, in this life, you just have some signs that you might have like good, maybe some experience in the Pure Land and so forth, because sometimes you can meet or you can have contact with higher realms and so forth. It's like
a
that.
dimension getting activated and the duality just falls down like.
What do you mean as duality?
Duality is like the perception, like you have 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 ears.
This is duality for you?
I think so.
Okay, so duality means just have 2 things. 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs. This is
It's like
duality.
the mind always has a conflict, even if you are like on the path. But the mind has a nature of conflicts. That's duality.
The nature of conflict is duality for you.
Yes.
Okay. This is not the meaning of duality, but I have to convey the
Yes,
meaning to him.
please.
That's why I asked. It's okay. yeah, da durdulana pena tana kirani dua chengi nyamle da ope man poson so ane kilsi par kiena da dua chen sana mindo patro ge maris karisa da deki mampo yungires la sopa duas ina pena tandanga da dua chinda kikuchinga nyamlen chegi mesra ina paru program seti taran dinala tarara nga lobjong chegi si amena gongya bigyo la sopara ane paru langa ngone ni tak drama da haleo tak yapo haleo mampo nga lemnyunyura pena yangna ane kare la pe mampo tu yo sare si amena ane sangi tu yo sare kareinas nga mampo ni shetu gi mare sra kinsna kusim nyemlen kashe kusim simato ani yamena tokpa kashe ani kare tomna ani mi shemba ni labia yo mare lapchugi mare sra lama chopa gi nyamlen sina mindu yamena tokpa da osan kare jana nga mampo lapchugi mindu se inyang ngone tak ya potamida du de masonsa ni chishina de ngoma gi nge pakcha ina da yamena le ya polatene tagara mitseti tagara nana tananga yamnyun dus parpra yonda yongi dusra ani de masonsa di yang artist shukshempo dao Jonathan yamena maompa dewa cheni na dakawa sangigi sakawa par lebsonara ani nyamlen yaksho kare chigure sa dewa chen nyamlen chigure kare ina ani ngachi ani kope vampo Niton ki shepetanye di pe mampo kichati sa pena tensanga ngaso susokio dwa susokio nyamlen mampo yamena topa mampo yo mare dwa ani ina yang kare sani koso tempa tanda nempa senata yamena ta re konsotan dampe gi donda pe mampo shargi dus shepetanye di pejutanda sonra ina angi kichati iras niton ina tas yamena ni se adis kare re kirana ina kare res kichati inda ani ni sana ngone ni kampanye chichi yamena parukranga so samlotanta yapotang duksho dis di ni tonda odios ale da tigido dim pewapalos
la so ta so matsig nalo la nyamle chini tanda mada yongsa ga ta yakshur ta kare yong gogore la baina so go tini semle jirwa dugu yo baina ta yakshur tere ena control docha ngarger 타도 원래야 도저히 침보요가 간실라 단대 내거나 뭐네 트라니가 도저히 띵간리지 용바이나 띵간바 간리지 용바이나요 도저히 지로지 요바이나 땅원이 그다 따상보 다 거기라마 줘봐도 되는 냠네 지고 따상슈도 대차고
Well, actually, yes. First of all, there are many good signs. There are many signs in one's own life that we do have like good signs or good approaches. It's true, but the main better sign or the main sign of purity or contact with pure and so forth is not that anything that is perceived by us as appearance and so forth. These are not the best signs. The best sign that either like you had a very good actions before or that you have good blessings and so forth is your own practice. Practice in the sense of daily actions, your behavior. If your behavior is becoming better day by day, if your bad attitudes, bad behaviors, or what we call in Tibetan Buddhism like the afflictions, like anger, attachment, arrogance, jealousy, and so forth. If these kind of states of mind and attitudes, they are smooth day by day, this is the actual sign of really have a good, at least good realization. And usually what we say, So there is a sign that in order to reduce or to get rid of our three main poisons, it's crucial to rely on the main texts. What is this? So it's crucial, it's important, it's mandatory to really rely in the root texts, in the main texts, like in the main root texts, in order to study and to understand, and then to reduce all the poisons that we have in our continuous or the bad minds or bad habits.
디 딱 뭐니도 가려 용고 그래. 소소기 그 뇨모충어. 뇨모충어 차고 그래.
The sign of meditation is the reduction of reduction of afflictions. So this is the actual good sign of meditation, is that your bad habits or afflictions are a little bit more smooth. These actually are the actual signs. All the rest may be just out of our So these are the actual signs that we have to rely on, okay? All the rest signs, even like that the appearances or what we think that we listen, what we think that we see and so forth, actually from one side, yes, it can be a sign, but mostly can be out of our own deluded mind, because actually if you're not completely stable, and if you really don't have very high realizations, maybe like we are deceived by our own wrong minds. So yes, it's just to take care of things. And so the most important is to the most important is to really transform one's own mind, which means way of thinking and way of approaching. Because if you do this, if you change one's own actions, like mainly mental actions, definitely for the futures, you have all the good path and good body and good lives and so forth. Okay. So maybe today we leave for now. Okay. Yes, and so for tomorrow, Monday 13th, we have morning time in the temple. We have teachings of His Holiness Dalai Lama in the 3 principles of the path. And night time, so all of you have to register, okay? And so everyone that registered, go to the temple tomorrow morning. And night time from 6 o'clock, also with Geshe Gyaltsen, he will give a revision session of whatever His Holiness spoke morning time with more questions and answers, okay? All of you are welcome also online, okay? Okay.
Now
it's okay. And so let's do all together our dedication prayers for these merits that we created.
Deva